Good morning and welcome to Sales Chatter, the logistics podcast where, hey, we aim to help 10,000 reps hit a million GP. I'm your co-host, Ryan Mohammed. With me is my good friend, President CEO of RGTX Logistics Solutions, the bodacious cowboy, Jeff Dickinson. And today's a special day, Jeff. I gotta ask you, happy Pie Day. So what is your favorite pie, my friend?
314.
Like actual pie, buddy. Like I'm talking like blueberry or come on, man.
Apple.
Apple pie.
Apple. Yeah, absolutely. You put an apple pie in front of me, it's gone. Done. Done. Dutch apple pie, I have to say.
Dutch apple pie. And we have the amazing Ashley with us today. What is your favorite pie?
I like cherry pie.
Ooh, cherry pie. And just a question, are you guys doing whipped cream and ice cream, or is that you got to have it like hot and fresh and that's it?
A la mode every time.
Yeah,
I don't know.
definitely. What kind of question is that?
Yeah.
Hey man, you always, I don't know. I'm an ice cream guy. I'm a blueberry guy with some ice cream, some whipped cream, but it is what it is. So you know what? Let's get started. Let's hit that intro and let's get started to the
Let's
amazing
do
show.
this. Boom.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
And as we said, we're so excited to have Ashley with us today. She's been watching our show and like we're going into empowerment into logistics for women here. One of the big things that we've learned is from everyone, there's one little tip that we learn every single day, right, Jeff? And for us, I'm really excited to hear about Ashley's story because, well, first and foremost, I'd love to find out how did you get into logistics and why did you get smacked in the face by a foam football on your day one?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I really entered into it by accident. I wasn't looking for logistics, and I like when you say logistics kind of found me. I started off in the automotive space and just kind of stumbled into it through factoring, which a lot of people don't know a ton about, but on the carrier side. And then I found myself at a 3PL and they just started their full truckload division. I'd actually applied to be an account manager. And then when I went over to the carrier sales side, the energy was just off the charts. So I decided I want to be in carrier sales. In my first day in training, there were a handful of us. I was only the second woman on the sales floor. So all the boys were playing football, and I'm over here trying to make calls and figure out this whole brokering thing. And within my first hour, I got smacked right in the face with a ball. So I threw it right back at him. It was totally fine.
That'll go.
Exactly. Welcome to logistics. Nothing like a first day like that. One thing that I was doing my research is that, I believe you started as an office manager a couple of years ago, and then you've really worked yourself up in the logistics space. What advice do you have for new people coming in, especially women getting into this industry? Because when you look at somebody with your experience and everything that you've done, it's inspiring. It's really amazing to kind of see that kind of happen. Can you share a little bit of insight of what's worked for you and what we would advise not to?
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing is don't be afraid to use your voice. Don't be afraid to speak up, and sometimes you have to be a little louder or say things over and over again when you're in a room of personalities and specifically men. Sometimes it takes us a little bit longer to get our point across, but, just don't be afraid, be confident. We're all smart gals, we know what we're doing, and do your research, learn, grow, become an expert in your field. I think that that's probably the best thing that you could do is know what you're talking about and then use your voice to get it across.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. It's like being a bull in a china room. It's just the way I look at it and what I've heard these past 3 weeks is exactly what you said. Everyone that came on board, each woman said almost the identical thing, that you have to have that voice. You have to have that confidence level in order to succeed because of those alpha males that are in the office, very outspoken. So sometimes you have to get to that upper level, to be heard, if you want to say it that way. But what brought you into J5? I mean, what was the aha moment for Ashley when you got into that office?
Well, I've pretty much done everything. Well, not everything, but I've done a lot of things in logistics. I've been in the factoring space, not only on the carrier side, but also on the broker side. I've done the freight broker gig on the carrier sales side. And I really want to know anything and everything that is related to logistics because I did fall in love with the industry. I think it's fascinating. I love that it's constantly changing. I love that we're like in this technology revolution that's super exciting. And, my dad was a truck driver. So um, I have like a soft spot, for the industry as a whole and some really core memories that are important to me as a person. So I think, joining 5J and being on the customer sales side is just another piece of the puzzle and just another piece of understanding the entire industry from every single angle. Because the more that you can know, the more powerful you become in an industry and the more you can make a positive impact.
Sure, absolutely. You have to be like cross-trained and know a little bit about everything, right? But what was the biggest thing, that the draw that you fell into? What do you like most about logistics?
I love that it never sleeps. I love that it's fast paced. I love that it's always evolving and changing. And I'm the type of person that gets bored really easy. So this is the perfect industry for me because you can't get bored. Like you said, you got to learn something new every day.
Yes, absolutely. And the ones that don't fail. I mean, I'm just being real, because the logistics industry is evolving every single day with new technology, and some of the stuff is hard, unless you've had your finger on the pulse on a daily basis. For you, what what was the most hardest thing for you when you got from the factoring side to the logistics side? And what did you dive into first and then led you to the position that you have now?
Yeah, I think the hardest part for me, especially on the carrier sales side, was I'm a little bit of a gullible person, right? Like I love to see the best in everybody. So when you're talking to some of these carriers on the phone and I want to believe everything that they're telling me, and then having to kind of sift through and read the BS over the phone was something that I had to learn really quick. So that was probably the toughest thing. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I probably booked a load with some sketchy carrier and then stayed up all night trying to recover it or trying to figure out where the truck was or trying to calm the customer down. That was definitely a learning curve and something that I had to figure out really fast.
Awesome.
And those are all amazing points because like you're learning as you're growing. And the one thing that you said was really interesting to me is that you've really kind of conquered each level of logistics. We always talk about logistics being a spoke on the wheel and you're making that wheel turn. Well, when you learn every spoke, you can actually make your own wheel, right? And the one thing that I really enjoyed that I was taking a look at is that you actually work with, I believe it is the Colorado businesswomen and your fundraising assistant. Can you talk a little bit of what you're volunteering? How did that kind of happen, and how does that work into your professional life at 5J and any kind of initiatives that you take as well?
Yeah, I just think it's really important to give back to your community, and it kind of has a win-win, right? Because you get to network with other like-minded women in your space. It was really nice to join that group because we don't just serve one purpose. So we actually vote as an entirety, and we choose different charities that we want to donate our time to, our money to, our expertise, our knowledge. So I like the Colorado Women's Group because it's not just, oh, we're going to save animals. We also help, youth and we help the homeless and it's a really, really great group. So I like it because I get to surround myself with other women that also have the same initiatives that want to make an impact. And then I actually was able to find a really great mentor through that group. So I think that it's just important, to give back to your community, to be involved. And I always keep using this word impact, but I really do. I want to leave a positive impact in my wake. And I think that that's part of the reason why I have found so much success in my career.
And you have that like-minded ability of it, right? Like as you said, you guys do different initiatives. So whether it be like homeless or animal or anything like that, it's something that everybody can serve each other. And you actually segued into my next question in your answer there with the mention of getting your mentor. Can you explain to everybody that's kind of watching how important has it been to sync up with a mentor? What have you learned? And on the flip side, I'd love to get the opposite answer of, hey, what would you be looking to do if you were to get a mentee yourself? What would you teach them?
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's so important to have a mentor. I think I've always been a really strong believer that if I'm the smartest person in the room, I am in the wrong room. So I think that being in carrier sales and in that broker mentality, you have to be a little bit more aggressive, right? In order to like be the best. I always want to be number one. But then on the flip side of things, going into the broker side of factoring and leading a team of salespeople, I had to become a little more softer. I couldn't be as aggressive in my approach. And I think having a mentor really taught me how to navigate and use my voice where I don't have to be so aggressive or forward, but also I can use it to be a little softer, but still get my point across. So that to me was the biggest part of having a mentor, just somebody to kind of like guide me through how to use my voice in a good way. For me, I mean, if I had a mentee, I would just try to, I guess, impart the same knowledge onto them as, this is the best way to communicate, to get your point across. You can say things in a way that doesn't have to hurt another person's feelings and still, know that you're firm, I think is, I guess, that's a tough question. But yeah, that was the biggest thing that I learned. And I've always had a lot of strong women in my life. So learning how to tone it down a little bit was important.
That's awesome too. And it is a hard question. What was the biggest obstacle, barrier that you had to break through in your career? I asked this to every woman that came on our show this past month, and of course they were all different. I'm just trying to get a better idea because every situation is different, right? So what was yours, and how did you overcome that?
I think the biggest thing for me is just the fear of failure was probably the biggest obstacle. There's a lot of pressure when you're in this space. It's always going, and you really have to push yourself to your limits. And so I think getting over that fear of failure and just kind of trusting my instincts and trusting that I got this, like it's gonna be okay, and trusting my own voice was really important. I think it's easy to be overlooked and maybe not heard all the time. But if you keep, they always say what the noisy wheel, um, you can't. I don't even remember the whole thing, but it's like you can't.
Squeaky wheel gets the oil, something like that,
Yeah,
right?
something like that. But yeah, just getting over that fear of failure, trusting my own voice, and making sure that it's heard because I wasn't always so confident.
Yeah, and that's a big thing, that know that failure drives a person to be successful. Without failure, you do not learn. What was the biggest failure that you were fearful of? I know you mentioned a few things, but uh, what was that fear that you feared most?
Yeah, just, especially on the sales side, commissions are a really big part of your salary and just not making it happen, I guess, not getting the job done, not being seen as an integral part of the organization of any organization that I'm from, especially in, like a landscape today. There's a lot of layoffs happening. There's a lot of uncertainty in just a lot of people's jobs. And so I think that getting okay to fail too is a big part of it, right? Is like once you fail, you're like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. You kind of move on and pick yourself up, and maybe you like sulk for a couple of days and eat a little bit of coffee ice cream, and you move on, and you find a new opportunity. When one door closes, another one opens.
Very true.
Yeah, I love your positive outlook on everything because that's the true way to actually go. No, but that is it's true. Honestly, it's the way to think because I know some people get caught up in like analysis paralysis. They're afraid to make a mistake, thinking that I'm going to get reprimanded for it. Well, you're supposed to be able within reason, right? Like don't underpay a carrier by like $1,000 or something like that. So you don't want to do that. I know Jeff was kind of mentioning the hardest things that you had to get through, but I'd love for you to share like your biggest wins, what you've kind of learned that's like positivity because I know that not only do you do the different things in logistics, like I need to work with the Colorado business women, but I believe that you work with like a wheelchair summer camp, I believe, or something like that as well. So you're kind of like all rounded. Can you share with everybody what your biggest wins have been?
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest win, I'm really proud where I've come from a professional standpoint. It feels like every time I make a move, it's in a step forward. I'm always growing. I think that I tend to be a little bit obsessed with personal and professional growth. I'm always reading all kinds of books and just trying to build positive habits. So I think I'm really just proud of liking who I am as a person and being really comfortable with who I am. I think that's hard, especially for women with a lot of the pressure and, just like image and all of that good stuff. So overall, I'm really proud of that. And I'm proud of, um, just my family life. It's a little bit of a different aspect, but I like that I'm well rounded. I like that I'm really close with my family. I like that I have a really close group of friends, and I like that I continue to find success in my career and just move forward and build.
Yeah, that's a positivity that you definitely need. Being family oriented, it's a great thing. You mentioned that there's a lot of pressures that we've had. You strike me as somebody who's extremely confident in themselves, and for their body of work, they get things done. Was this something that has always been with you, or is this something that you had to learn as you kind of go on, not just through your profession, but just through life in general?
It has always been ingrained in me. So, like I said, I have a really strong, all the women in my family are really strong. I think by the time my mom was 32, she had two children. My sister has spina bifida, so that's where the wheelchair sports camp came into play. And so she was raising two kids and she had a chain of beauty salons, right? So I think that by 32, that was a huge accomplishment. She's always kind of been a really big inspiration for me. My grandma was the same way, very entrepreneurial minded and just a really hard worker. So I think it's always been ingrained in me, and I love to work. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting, and it's something that I tried to take a little bit of time off. I took like a week off, and I was going crazy. So I love to work. I love to be working towards something, and it's really part of who I am.
Yeah, and you know, logistics, it changes every single day, right? It's never the same thing that happens over and over again. What are some of the affirmations that you have when you wake up to prepare for your day, because of these challenges that you don't know of? You know something's going to happen, you don't know when or where, but how do you prepare yourself for those type of events when you start looking at the possibility of what ifs?
That's an excellent question. I am actually a huge believer in affirmations. My partner makes fun of me because like I'm the gal that says it in the mirror. But I mean, when I first wake up, my first thought is today is going to be a great day. Like I am just so grateful for today. It's going to be a great day. And then if stuff starts to go sideways, I kind of like that. I like having to be creative. I love being a problem solver. I love using my critical thinking skills. And yes, I do tell myself that I'm a badass. I tell myself I'm awesome and I got this.
So how, when you get into that office and you've got that positivity like just beaming out of you, right? How do you portray that positivity to your fellow workers that you go into, and how do you translate that to make the environment a much more positive environment to work in instead of all that negativity that kind of runs in brokerages because they're putting out fires, all that. What does Ashley do?
I'm a high fiver. So I love giving out high fives. I think that, that's important. And, a lot of these brokerages, I love them because they have a lot of ways to kind of step away, right? And go play like a game of ping pong or pop a shot or, go get a snack from the vending machine. And sometimes you just got to take a breather. And there's a lot of mantras that I used to say, because yeah, we all get to that point where there's a breaking point where sometimes you've been working 40 hour 50 hours a day for 2 weeks straight, and you don't really get a day off because there's freight never stops moving. It moves on the weekends, it moves at night. And I used to be on the West Coast. All of my region was on the West Coast, and I lived central, but I would get phone calls at 3 in the morning, looking for pickup numbers and all kinds of stuff. So, I would always say to myself, I choose peace instead. And then you just tell your coworkers, breathe, goose brava, shoot them a smile, crack a joke. Laughter is the best medicine. And go do some papa shot. Go throw some balls around. Feel a little better.
Definitely all the way. That's the way I feel as well. I always wake up with a smile. My positivity is always beaming out there, and I try to portray that onto everybody that I meet. So, are you trying to say that when you walk into the office, you automatically go into high five?
Yes.
For no reason, you just do it.
It's good morning. You're high fiving. By the time I get to the office, I'm probably like 3 coffees deep. So, I've got a lot of energy. I like to wake up bright and early in the morning, go work out, get everything pumping, get things going. So, yeah, walk in, high five. Let's get this.
Let's do this, right?
Make some money. Yeah.
Let's make some point. I'd like to add to that maybe, I don't know, maybe we're out on a limb here, but maybe she listens to Sales Chatter with us before she goes into the office. So she's got some good vibes going on.
If that doesn't make your day, I don't know.
Yeah. That's awesome to kind of see. And I love that positivity. Ashley, we've been talking about empowering women into logistics for our season 2. I know that I was reading that, hey, you were a part of like the TIA Women's Luncheon. Either it was a couple of years or things like that. Where do you think the direction of women in logistics is going? Do you like the path that it's going? And what can we do as men here to basically help be allies to push this, not narrative, but push this mission forward?
Yeah, I think it's going in a really positive direction. I think that I was watching the last sales chatter and with Candor Expedite, and it was like mind blowing to me that there are still people out there with that mindset of, hey, women shouldn't be in this space. And I think we need to move towards, like, it's not just women, it's everybody belongs in this space. Like, we're just people. I think that we need to be seen as equals and not as a separate category. I think that we bring our own set of skills to the table, and I think men do too. And I think that when you put us together in a room, that's when stuff really starts to happen. So I think just, you asked the question, as men, how can you support or be there to kind of keep the wheels moving forward? And I think that, just collaborating with other women, and if you see that there's someone out there doing an excellent job, make sure that you're also advocating for them, right? Because I think as men, you kind of like to stick together, and as women, we like to stick together, but I think we need to come together as an entirety. And I think it's the separation, like we're not in middle school, right? We're not at a middle school dance. We need to all come together, work together. And I think that's where we're going to get the most momentum, is when everybody's on the same page and collaborating.
That's perfect. That is one of the amazing things. And I like that you said that, because like a lot of people would say, hey, because Eileen was on our episode yesterday and she used the word human. She doesn't refer to like men and women like that. It's the word human. And it's something that's really impacted me that I thought about. I talked about my wife about it last night, like treating people as human and kind of go from there. You strike me as well, like I said, very positive and things like that. And you're always, from what I see at least, is always trying to boost your education and learn more. Like I see you're an expert in Spanish now because of Duolingo. How has continuing education, like taking these courses, available to you? How has that helped you?
It's just something I really enjoy. I feel like this world is so big, and I am naturally curious. I'm just thirsty to learn and know more, and any way that I can do that is just something that's really um I don't know, part of who I am. I'm like I said, I get bored easy. So I like to say I'm always like kind of switching to different things. I've been a part of a lot of different industries, but I'm just like thirsty to know stuff. I mean, I just really enjoy it.
So what's the what kind of things do you look at to get that knowledge? What do you follow? What do you read to keep your finger on the pulse on a daily basis?
Yeah, so I read a lot of sales books. They're not always super enlightening, but they do give me a lot of good ideas to. I'm always like changing my script and changing my approach, and sometimes I'll be funny and sometimes I'll be informative, and I think that's what kind of makes sales in general fun. So I'm reading Fanatical Prospecting, and I'm reading You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar. I really like the Sandler selling method. I think it's really interesting. I love reading self-help books like Go Wash Your Face, and I think she got some backlash, but it was still a good book. Um, and just a lot of stuff that, empowers me and makes me feel good. I think that's the important part is feeling good while you're reading something or doing something. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I like the logistics of logistics. I like this podcast, Sales Chatter is one of my favorite ways to start my day. I also listen to the Freight Coach. So, industry specific stuff, I think it's important to just learn, like I said, learn something new every day. And if you're constantly filling your brain with new stuff, then you come up with new ideas and it just helps you be creative.
That is amazing. Yeah, you talk about the self-help books, Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blunt. Little of a plug, we had him on on Sales Chatter last year, so he's an amazing guy. And just to hear like those things that you're putting to practice, and that's what I like that you said that, hey, maybe I can add an informational part or a comedy side to my scripts, and that's the way that I operate too. I go based on the person and what can I get away with. How am I going to make a deeper connection with that person as a person rather than looking at them as a logistics manager, right?
Yeah.
From there. Actually, we are so honored. This has been a lot of fun, truly. Like, you are amazing. Can you tell everybody about how they can get a hold of you? If you got any things coming up, any trips coming up, any conferences, and the name of your two dogs, because I'm a dog guy.
Yes, I have two adorable dogs, Vanilla Bean and Wilson. I'm obsessed. And I work with 5J Logistics. So, we are logistics experts. I think combined we have like 50 years of experience, all of us. So we do have a branch director who's also a lovely lady. She's the boss lady and love working with her. So 5J Logistics, Ashley.McMillan at 5J Group. And no conferences that we have planned anytime soon. I might try to swing the freight waves in Ohio, but we'll see what's up.
That is amazing. Definitely hit you up. And the one thing, like I said, anybody who's watching in the audience, definitely follow Ashley because I've been watching that she's kind of been doing a lot of posts on technology focus, and it's actually really cool. So you can learn a lot from her and everything that she kind of supports and everything like that. So I want to thank everybody for coming out this morning again. Thank you to our corporate sponsor, Daman at Centurion Trucking. If you're a sales agent looking for some help, looking for a new place to go, he's looking for agents across North America paying up to 60% GP. And if you found value in this, which I know you did, like, comment, share it with a friend, share it with a neighbor, share it with the Amazon delivery driver, because we all know you got a package coming to your house today. So catch the replay again at 2 and 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Cowboy, take us home, my man.
Yes, thank you so much, Ashley, for joining us today. We appreciate your insights. Looks like you're going to do wonderful things in the near future, not so far distant future, but probably next week or the next month. You have your goals and objectives that you definitely want to meet. So we appreciate everything that you had to say today. And tomorrow, my favorite day is Data Day with Dean Cook from Data Analytics. So with that said, thank you everybody for watching us. Keep watching us on Sales Chatter Live Daily Podcast at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that said, bodacious cowboy.